The Vanderbilt Commodores defense will cause some havoc this year, and that's very exciting at the start of the Steve Gregory era.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Today, we're going to turn our focus onto the scrimmage that happened over the weekend. The defense is causing some havoc, getting 3 takeaways in the red zone, and they won the day overall, but the offense did some good things as well. And this is a result that you actually want from a scrimmage. The linebackers are balling, especially Langston, Patterson, our edge guys, most notably Keanu Koht. However, the offense was able to do a few things as well. The quarterback run game was looking sharp. And yes, the quarterbacks were live except for Diego Pavia. And speaking of quarterbacks, Blaze Berlowitz is separating himself as quarterback number 2 and shaping out to be the future of this position at Vandy post Diego Pavia. And the offense was able to hit some big plays as well. So what do these results actually mean? We're going to break it all down. Then we're going to wrap up by talking about the roller coaster that is baseball. You lose the series versus Auburn. You sweep A&M, who just took the series against Tennessee this weekend, got swept horribly against Arkansas at home, and now travel to Gainesville and sweep the Gators. This team has got some things to figure out. They're starting to figure them out, but it seems like they're doing all this while their pitching has maintained as that steady force. So this baseball team is looking very, very exciting. Speaking of exciting, thank you to the everydayers. Thank you for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. So, scrimmage. Anytime you have a scrimmage in spring practice, there's always one side that's really excited, and then the other is not so excited. And it usually, one side takes victory at the expense of the other side. And so when you do the results of this scrimmage and when you look at kind of how things go, when you say like, hey, there's a winner, here's a loser, all that good stuff. Yeah, the defense won the day. They got 3 takeaways, but again, they struggled with quarterback run, and the offense was able to get a few things going. But the results of these things usually can be taken with a grain of salt. When you look at defensive stats, the defense is always, you have to know that defense is always going to be slightly ahead of the offense, and that's usually pretty normal. Now, when you have offense doing really well, people get all bent out of shape about the defense and it not being something that's, viable. Everyone's just kind of almost want to hit the panic button on the defense and saying, oh no, we're not going to be able to play defense. And oh, we're going to suck at this and that. And we can't stop this. We can't stop that. But in reality, these 2 units really know each other. And with it being year 2 in the Tim Beck scheme, it's normal, right? So the defense is going to know how the offense operates and what they want to do, and vice versa. Like, they kind of know how to attack. So they're going to try to find in an unscripted 11-on-11 period, like a scrimmage, your goal is to move the ball. And so you're going to do what you think you need to do against the defense to be able to move the ball. And the defense has got to be able to now defend in a situation to where they're not sure exactly what's coming, but they have a general idea of how to attack, what to force and things like that. So those things you kind of look at and go, okay, well, you take those factors out of it. How did we do? How do we have individual performances? So the way I look at it is, if the defense won some plays, the offense won some plays, and you had to declare a winner somehow. But as long as both sides are making plays and as long as both sides have an idea of how they're going to attack, I'm totally cool with it. So starting on the defensive side, since they won, right, the 3 takeaways is what really fires me up, because this is a team that, I think they could have done better with their takeaways last fall. They could have created some more opportunities for themselves to give the offense the ball back, especially in the red zone. Like, I think once teams got in the red zone, I feel like points were coming. And a lot of those I feel like were touchdowns. And you can't continue to give up those things. Like, you have to have a defense that has guys that are equipped and ready to go. And I think they were starting to show that, and they showed flashes of that a year ago. Scheme-wise, they definitely did. Personnel-wise, I think they did. They just, again, just like I talked about with the offensive line, the depth just wasn't quite there because it was such a roster overhaul that you just weren't going to be able to build it completely the way you wanted to because you just didn't have enough time or enough NIL money or whatever. So now that I think you got a good core of guys, you can start adding pieces instead of adding whole units. So this is something that is also notable. And you have more people in spring practice, so those practice sessions don't go to waste typically. So the 3 takeaways is probably the biggest stat that I like to see in these scrimmages. Like, how are they getting to the ball? How are they winning at the point of attack? Are they making plays when it counts? Are they making plays down in the red zone? Are they getting themselves out of adverse situations? Because the offense hit a few big plays on them. And usually when that happens, most defenses, not just Vandy, but most defenses will oftentimes kind of fold down in the red zone after a big play because there's a lot of momentum. And the offense is like, okay, boom, we hit a big play. And then 2 plays later, they're typically walking in the end zone. A lot of that's because you have a scenario to where it's just momentum. And so if they can get back that momentum, you know how much of a game changer that is? That's a lot of a game changer. That is something that you can look at as a catapult to a big upset win like Alabama. You get a big turnover early in the Alabama game, and it just didn't seem like Alabama could quite recover. Tennessee did a good job of recovering after a pick 6 in the beginning of that game, but it's just those takeaways in those key moments, and a key moment is definitely the red zone after a big play has happened, is something that you can look forward to and look to and say, okay, hey, this is really, really good for us, and we can build off that. The linebackers, I thought one of my takeaways after reading some reports, and because these things aren't obviously open to the public, but my man Robbie Weinstein, I'll give him some credit. He writes some great reports, and I like to react to those. So this is not coming from me. This is just my reaction. But it seems like these linebackers are going to be a problem, right? And Langston Patterson was all over the place. Bryce Cowan was all over the place. Longwell, I think, will be a really, really big asset to this defense. But linebacker play with blitzing, linebacker play against the run, I think is going to be important. If you can play hard against the run without blitzing, that is a major, major win for your defense. If you can get enough pressure on the quarterback without blitzing linebackers, especially inside linebackers, that is a massive win, because blitzing, as you know, comes with a huge risk. And when you send those inside guys, there's a risk of you not getting home on that blitz. And for a fact, especially if you're heavy on blitz, that something's coming in right where you just vacated. And so if you can find ways to get pressure on the quarterback without blitzing, if you can find ways to be able to stop the run without having to blitz and then just playing their normal technique, I think you're going to be in really, really good shape. And these trench wars are back and forth. And this is great because the O-line's getting a lot of great work. The defensive line is getting a great work. And it's going to be awesome for both units. And, I'm really also excited. Keanu Koht had 3 sacks on the day. He had a really good finish to the day as well, getting those sacks, especially in crucial situations. And Keanu Koht, if you're unfamiliar, is the transfer acquisition from Alabama. He came over. He was a former, I think, 4-star recruit coming over from Alabama, looking for an opportunity to contribute somewhere. Didn't think he was going to get that opportunity at Alabama, so decided to come to Vanderbilt. He saw enough of what Clark Lea wanted to do defensively, and I don't know if it was official yet, or I don't know if they'd even thought about making the move permanently, but I guess what Steve Gregory, what direction he wanted to take the defense in as well. But I think playing more man coverage is going to open up these edge guys for more sacks. So Keanu Koht is somebody that's really playing his way into a big, big role on that defense. So I'm really excited about the secondary. Obviously they gave up a couple big plays in the passing game, so they got some things to work out there. And of course, the biggest concern for me against this defense is the quarterback run game, because they struggled with it. And there's Lenore Sellers on the schedule week 3. So they got until then at least to figure out, okay, they're going to do a lot of quarterback design runs. How do we account for the extra blocker? How do we, they're going to move some guys with RPO. Like, they're going to do a whole lot of things at South Carolina, probably similar to what Vandy's doing to put them in very, very tough spots. So how are they going to deal with that? Vandy's offense is a great preparation tool for any quarterback that is heavy in the quarter, or any team for that matter, that's heavy in the quarterback run game. So that's exciting. That, it's never exciting that they're struggling, but I'm glad that that's become something that they're not great at, because they're going to have to focus on that coming into next season, because you have Lenore Sellers, you have you're going to have Arch Manning. That's a runner. You're going to have, who else is a runner? Nico can run. I don't think he does run all the time, but I think there's some options where they can get him on a quarterback draw, or he can definitely scramble for sure. But there's some things in the quarterback run game that other teams are focused on. I don't know about Bo Pribula at Missouri, if he's a runner or not. I think he may be. So that's a team that you have to kind of account for. Depending on who Alabama chooses as their quarterback, could also factor in whether or not they're going to be focused. Like, if they pick Ty Simpson as their quarterback, don't think he's going to be running a lot. He's probably going to be sitting back there distributing. But if they go like Keelan Russell, like he's a runner, like they're going to try to incorporate him into a little bit of quarterback run. So it's definitely going to be a lot of teams on the schedule that Vandy's going to have to contend with in the quarterback run game. And so this is good that they're struggling with this now, so that they can spend all summer preparing how they're going to stop quarterback run and getting these guys ready for when fall camp comes around. They're able to get after it. So that's one of the key things from this scrimmage period that I saw from Robbie, that could be something they could kind of springboard them into the offseason after the spring scrimmage. So it's good that the quarterbacks were live. I'm glad that happened. It's also great for quarterback evaluation. You got to see what you have in the future, and Blaze Berlowitz is that guy. But offensively, I thought they were good overall. How good? I don't know. Are they going to be electric? Is there some options in the passing game? Can we not wait for Trey Richardson? Can he not get here fast enough? Are we at that point with the wide receiver core? I don't know. But we'll talk about all of that. Stick around. All right. There's nothing like the energy of a live game, whether it's catching a last-minute MLB showdown or soaking in the excitement of an NBA matchup. But finding great seats at a great price, well, that used to be a challenge until I found Game Time. Game Time makes scoring last-minute tickets easier than ever. Prices actually drop as the events get closer. And with their all-in pricing, you see the total cost up front, so no surprises at checkout. Here's why I love using Game Time. You have last-minute deals, man. Like, that's the best part. You can save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concert, comedy, theater, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can grab last-minute seats for the Atlanta Braves game coming up and save big with their zone deals. And you have peace of mind, too, with the seat views before you buy. There's no surprise fees and a low price guarantee. You can book with total confidence. You can also go to a Sounds game. They're in town. I forgot they were playing. I know the minor league system started. But their lowest price guarantee means I never have to worry about overpaying. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. Shout out to you everydayers. Without you guys, none of this would be possible. The numbers are going up. So it's all thanks to you, the everydayers, the first timers, the part timers, however often you listen or watch, wherever you listen, or if you watch right here on YouTube. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Keep it up. Tell a friend, all that good stuff. I'm very excited that we got this thing cooking. So speaking of cooking, the offense, they're gathering ingredients. They're starting to cook. All right. And based on, a few takeaways from this offense is they're still, and I think offense seems a little clunky right now because they're still evaluating the quarterbacks. And that could play a major factor in it because you don't really have Diego Pavia getting a ton of reps this spring. We kind of know what he's got. And he knows the system and he's kind of acting more as a coach and, he's getting his reps so he doesn't get completely off, but he's not getting much. And that's by design. They've got to evaluate to see who's going to be the quarterback depth chart, someone's going to have to get cut, unfortunately. Someone's going to have to move on. Maybe two of them are going to have to move on. So you've got to see who's there, who's not, who has potential, who needs development. And all of that is probably factored into why the offense has procedure penalties, which is never a good thing. It's not really an excuse, but it is a reason. And it's part of the evaluation. Can you get these guys on the same page? If you're a quarterback and you're in and the unit has a lot of procedure penalties, guess what? Guess where the fingers are pointing? Right at you, right? That's just the nature of the quarterback position. That's what they're evaluating. Can you get your guys lined up and get the ball off effectively and efficiently without any pre-snap penalties? Because those kill you, right? Just think about it. Like you hit a big play. Let's say Seti hits a big play. Let's say he gets 16 yards, first down. You just cross midfield. All of a sudden, you get lined up. Boom, you jump. 1st and 15. Well, there you go. That's, a hold's going to happen every once in a while. Like the aggressive penalties, I don't think people hate on those too much. Yeah, they suck, but it happens. It's just part of the game, part of the run of the game. Like it's bound to happen. If you haven't got called for holding, you probably haven't played. So it's going to happen. But the jumping off sides, the not lining up correctly, like there was numerous times last year where we had too many guys in the backfield. A big play would happen and be a legal formation or illegal motion, two guys in motion, like not knowing who's supposed to go where and when, or the two guys that shift over and when one of them doesn't get set before Pavia snaps the ball. Like those kind of things that happen are not excusable type penalties. And you've got to be clean on those because you have to save yourself for, okay, if we're going to get a big hold, sometimes that's just got to happen. And so those are some of the things when you're evaluating quarterbacks that, you just kind of have to take with a grain of salt. But here's the notes from scrimmage number 2. Berlowitz is really separating himself as quarterback too. He may be the future post Pavia. He's, I said early on before spring ball started that I didn't think he was a great runner. I mean, he could escape if he needed to, but he wasn't. But apparently that's not true. Apparently he might be quite the runner. Now I don't think he's going to be like scoring touchdowns on long runs and that type of runner. But I think there's something to that. And I think he is a threat in the quarterback run game. He was part of the reason why the defense struggled. He's got a big, long stride. He's got a live arm. He's probably got the livest arm of all the quarterbacks, which makes it even more exciting that he's a runner and that he fits more into the scheme than we thought before. And I thought, honestly, he was going to be the backup last year. Like I honestly thought he knew the offense well enough, but I guess he just wasn't quite ready to be that number 2 guy. And Nate Johnson kind of beat him out of that role. And what we found out about Nate Johnson is they didn't really trust him to be a full-on quarterback. And Drew Dickey kind of had the upper hand last fall, but now Berlowitz has flipped that on its head. And Berlowitz is really really separating from the pack. And so this is very exciting that, if, God forbid, if Diego Pavia does go down or he has to miss any time, whether it's a series or a game or whatever, we have confidence that Blaze Berlowitz can come in and really just lead this offense and not have much of a drop-off. Now, Diego Pavia is a special dude, so there's going to obviously be some drop-off between him and Berlowitz. But Berlowitz has gotten enough reps with the ones now that I think that it wouldn't be much of a drop-off, but there would be a little bit because Pavia is just a freaking freak out there. He's a freak he's a freak athletically. Like, he does things that you're just like, what the hell was that? And he's such a gifted leader that nobody can really replicate that. But, I think Berlowitz is the next best thing. But the offense did move the ball well. And from an offensive line perspective, Bryce Henderson, he hasn't really got a whole lot of work either. Some of it was just he came in late. He just was trying to get back into playing shape, and there were some knocks and nicks and whatever. But he's proving what we knew coming out of North Dakota was that he is a dominant run blocker. He needs work in his pass pro, but everything that I'm hearing about him matches what I saw on film when I watched him at North Dakota. He could use some work footwork wise in the passing game and pass pro, but that dude comes off and will knock you across the ball. Like, he will knock the crap out of you coming on a down block. He will drive you. He's somebody that's a dominant run blocker. So that's very exciting, especially because guess what? Vanderbilt is run oriented, and they love the quarterback runs. They love the options. They love coming downhill because it's all ball control. And when you have a guy like that, you're going to be in really, really good shape. So pass pro wise, I don't know where that takes us as far as being able to have him. Do you cover up for him? How do you, I don't want to say hide his deficiencies because that's not the right word, but like, how do you account for what he's not strong at? Do you slide towards him to give him help? Do you slide away so you can send the back to him? Do you have an extra guy in protection if you need it? Do you throw mostly quick games so he doesn't have to protect a long time? Do you sprint away from him? Do you sprint to him so he can fire off the ball? Play action, something that Vandy has done a lot of in last season, that, especially that 4th and 1 play action bomb to Junior Sherrill against Alabama. That was a play action. So he could come out low and knock into somebody and not really have to worry about his pass pro stuff. But if he wants to play at the next level, he's going to have to kind of figure that out. So it's going to be one of those things where, okay, we know where he's deficient, and we can work to getting him up to speed there. But the quarterback run game was great. The running backs, I think they're still getting healthy, so they're not much of a factor as of right now. But I'm very excited about the talent that is coming at that position. It's just got to get healthy and stay healthy, honestly. And the wide receivers, talked about Trey Richardson committing. Is he going to get here fast enough? I don't know. But the whole passing game is – they hit a bomb to Tristan Brown. It's going to be sporadic, I think. And that's kind of by the nature of what they want to do offensively, identity-wise. And some of that is just because there's just not guys there that can stretch the field and can do the things that you need to have an effective pass game. So that's going to be still a work in progress. As I think the more they work with Pavia and Berlowitz, the more you narrow down your quarterback situation. I think that'll help as well with timing and things like that. I'm sure that's throwing things off too. So who knows? But looks like we're going to get into overtime here. But nonetheless, baseball, they swept. How did they do it? How did they go from getting swept horribly to sweeping the Gators? We'll talk about it really quickly when we come back. All right, wrapping up the show here, Locked On Vandy. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. Shout out to you everydayers. Again, I can't thank you guys enough. At Locked On Vandy on all social media platforms. Be sure to check it out. Had a lot of good takes about football, how the passing game is going to evolve, what the quarterback situation is going to look like, how these scrimmages factor into everything. We'll talk more about that as we inch towards the black and gold game on Saturday. April the 12th. So, but we need to switch gears to baseball because what they did down in Gainesville is very exciting. Now, the city of Gainesville may have been distracted by the Gators making a national title run in basketball. However, the Doors bounced back from an embarrassing sweep, and a lot of it was they found their bats. I don't know if they just left them somewhere when they hosted Arkansas. I don't know if they went downtown. I don't know what happened. All right, but they bounced back from an embarrassing sweep, and R.J. Austin, Riley Nelson, Jonathan Vastine, Connor Barzee, all chipped in and was absolutely crushing the ball. Austin went 5 for 13 with 2 ribbies. Nelson 5 for 9 with 4 ribbies. He hit a bomb. Vastine 6 for 10, 3 ribbies and a homer. Barzee went 4 for 13, 3 ribbies and a game-winning homer on Saturday. So the offense, I don't know if this is going to be a consistent thing. I hope it is. But as of right now, the small ball approach didn't work. And I think some of it is RJ Austin's he's not a slugger, but he is an extra base hitter. Jonathan Vastine is sort of a power guy. Riley Nelson, Colin Barzee are guys that need to be able to continue to develop their power. I think Rustin Rigdon needs to get involved a little bit. I think you have to get Brody Johnson going. He wasn't great. Had some decent at bats, but he's just got to start putting the ball back into play. He's a freshman. He's hitting the wall a little bit. So you got to find some power. You got to find some consistency in this lineup. But the pitching, like I said in the open, the pitching has been steadfast. It's been the steady rock of this team. It's been absolutely outstanding. It has allowed Tim Corbin to figure out the lineup, to figure out who can do what offensively, who goes where in the lineup. Where does Vastine hit? Where does R.J. Austin hit? Where does Barzee hit? Who needs to be in the lineup consistently? Where do they need to be in the lineup? And who needs to, all of those questions, the pitching has allowed him to kind of work through some of that stuff. It hadn't been perfect, but it's allowed him to work towards some of that stuff because they've been in every game. But a couple of games against Arkansas got away from him because they just could not hit. But their pitching kept them in it for as long as it possibly could. But J.D. Thompson went 4 2/3. He didn't give up any earned runs. Sawyer Hawks went 4 with 0 earned runs. Cody Bowker 4 2/3 only gave up an earned run. I mean, these guys are running the ball up there. And I think the biggest thing is these guys are actually pitching. Okay. These guys, when I say they're actually pitching, here's what I mean by that. Because in baseball, in this era, there's throwers and there's pitchers. Throwers want to get up there and launch the ball 100 miles an hour every single time because they see Paul Skeens do it. And he won a national championship at LSU throwing the ball 101 miles an hour. But Paul Skeens is a freak. He also pitches. He pitches at 101. And when I say pitches, there's movement, there's placement, there's intention, right? I think too many guys have that mentality of, and you can tell when they do that. You can tell when they're pitching and when they're throwing. When they're throwing, they're trying to, hey, I'm gonna get this 100-mile-an-hour pitch past you. It's gonna be straight as an arrow, and it's gonna be, it could be anywhere from belt high to letter high. And if you can time it up, you're gonna hit it a long, long way. And sometimes those guys lose control. When you see a guy up there walking a lot of guys, it means they're trying to throw it past they're trying to throw it past the hitter. They're not trying to locate. They don't have any sort of plan in mind. They just want to get it right by that hitter, and they want to strike him out every single time. Now, strikeouts are good. Don't get me wrong. Strikeouts are good. But when you have a pitcher up there that has a plan in mind, he doesn't mind letting the guy hit the ball. He's going to place it to where he can't hit it hard. And if the guy hits it hard, then, tip your cap. That guy's a special guy, right? But if you watch Bowker pitch, that dude has a ton of movement on every single one of his pitches. He's hitting spots. It looks like he's read the scouting report also. J.D. Thompson's very similar. Connor Fennell is also really similar in their approach to they're actually pitching. I don't care if you Greg Maddux Now, Greg Maddux is also an anomaly as well. That dude is ridiculous. But, he didn't top 90 miles an hour ever in his career. And he's one of the best pitchers to ever pitch. Why? Because he had a plan. He had movement. He had things that you were going to – like he could tell you exactly what he's going to throw, and you weren't going to hit it. And that's the approach you have to have. And the defense, you have to let the defense go to work. They're doing all that. But, as you're allowing the offense to get out of their hot and cold streaks and kind of get more of an even keel, I think as long as your pitching is elite, you have a chance to do that. You're going to be in these games to where, if they can't win if they don't score runs, right? And so it's a good thing, man. And the sweep is a sign of really good things to come. Now, unfortunately, they have these midweek games, which they've been great in to work out some kinks as well. But these SEC games are going to get really difficult. It's a gauntlet, man. This league is a gauntlet in every sport, apparently. So it's going to be week in, week out, weekend in, weekend out. Tough matchups. Every single weekend, you're going to have top 10 matchups just about. It's like, you get no reprieve, right? And I guess you get a little bit in the midweek games, but even those aren't easy. And Vandy's scheduled hard at the beginning of the season to kind of help prepare them. They did well in their non-conference, and they scheduled really good quality games. But this season's going to take its toll. It's a really good league. It's going to be very similar to basketball, where you have a lot of teams that are going to be competitive in postseason play in the NCAA baseball tournaments, the regionals, super regionals, and eventually the College World Series. I think an SEC team is going to win the College World Series. I know that seems bold, but there's going to be an SEC team that wins. And pitching is going to be a big part of that, and Vandy has that. They just got to figure out the offensive part, and they can be in good shape. So I know I've gone over time here a little bit. We'll continue to break down baseball and what this actual sweep means. Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean that, hey, we got to string together 2 good weekends of hitting and collect some wins all in a row to be able to consider yourself back in action. But the pitching has been constant, and it's been great. So let's enjoy that. And the spring scrimmage, we're gearing closer and closer and closer to the black and gold game. So not a ton this week's going to happen in practice, but we'll get a lot of answers hopefully on Saturday in the black and gold game. But until then, until the next time, this is Locked On Vandy. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for making us part of your day. And we'll see you back here next time. Anchor down. Peace.